Trying to get back into the spotlight and stem the hemorrhaging of support for his party after its last electoral loss, Conservative Party of Canada leader Aaron O'Toole recently revealed his shadow cabinet. For those unfamiliar with the Westminster parliamentary system, the official opposition in a legislature, or party with the second most seats, typically puts its so-called stars on specific portfolios: foreign affairs, health, transportation, finance, while trying to present themselves as a government in waiting. Practically speaking, it means the same talking heads will yap about the same boring stuff on the same dull shows, and most of the electorate ignores them, which is a real shame because some of the funniest and most ridiculous and mockable stuff comes out of the mouths of shadow ministers. Specifically, I'm talking about Pierre Poilievre, a man so unlikable, uncharismatic, and annoying that no single person in Canada has anything positive to say about him. Even his newborn spits up just thinking about the man. And throughout this pandemic, Pierre was so obtuse and tone-deaf to reality, he was quickly dubbed Canada's Ted Cruz. Mr. Handyman has just put Pierre back in his shadow cabinet as finance critic, which makes sense for the Conservatives since even when Pierre was on the outs, being the one-trick pony he is, he was still making the rounds, yapping about how the government was spending too much money, helping too many people, and how Canada should have only given help to corporations, specifically oil and gas, because although Pierre is the MP for a suburb of Ottawa in Ontario, like many Conservatives, most of his fundraising money comes from Alberta. But the reason I love this placement is because current finance minister and deputy prime minister Chrystia Freeland is so good at shooting down Poilievre's comments in the House of Commons, the hashtag Pigeon Pierre trends regularly on social media up here. Go check! Pierre has been the butt of jokes since comedian Rick Mercer first went after him in 2009 for being the youngest parliamentarian to grab the last of the old format gold-plated parliamentary pensions, which Pierre got before he hit 30, meaning a man who has never had a real job, has no skills, and makes arguments so easy to shred he could come with a box of cereal, and a man who has frequently mocked the Prime Minister for having a life before entering politics, particularly one that was more alike to what most Canadians have had, could retire with a higher pension than the Prime Minister without ever doing anything useful, helpful, or valued. The irony, though, is since Ted Cruz was born in Calgary, Alberta, even the nickname Canada's Ted Cruz is a bit of a joke, since even if you put the two side by side, Ted Cruz would come in second as the most despicable Ted Cruz of the two. On this day in 1837, Canadian journalist and politician William Lyon Mackenzie called for a rebellion against the United Kingdom in his essay To the People of Upper Canada, which he published in his newspaper, The Constitution. After posting his own Declaration of Independence and failing to accomplish anything but make himself a wanted man, Mackenzie fled to America, where he tried to convince them to invade Canada, something that put him in violation of the U.S. Neutrality Act and landed him in a U.S. prison for 10 months. Eventually pardoned by President Van Buren, Mackenzie returned to Canada, where he continued to be a pain in the arse until his death 6 years before Canada gained independence from Great Britain without the need for rebellion. What a ponce! It's also Go for a Ride Day and Cranberry Relish Day. This bear does not digest relish. Blech. And that's today's Duza Bear Digest. See you tomorrow!